as mayor, what would you do to address like these city bikes? They have so much parking spaces that they're taking up. They're on the street. I mean, one thing if they put them near a park where you can lean them against a fence where there'll be a sidewalk area where there's enough room to pass it, and you could put it alongside the gate as a charging station for these city bikes, that's fine. But if you're gonna leave it where you're taking up physical parking spaces, and also with the new garbage truck rules where we all have to buy the new garbage, if you live in a building, you might not know this right now, they're required houses and buildings eventually are gonna be putting weird bins in the street. So we had to get these little side-loader garbage cans that they required us to buy. And supposedly they're not gonna do that anymore for the city, for regular residential homes. I don't know if that's true or not. But at least for the buildings, they're gonna make them where they have to have the big bins out in the street. So that if they're gonna be out in the street, they're gonna be taking up parking spots in front of buildings. So all these parking spots that we normally would have, I believe they're gonna eliminate at least over 100,000 or 100 to 150,000 parking spots because of this new rule. As mayor, would you look to reverse that? Because I believe that went under the mayor's sanitation commissioner, who's now our police commissioner. They're the ones that did a study, and they said, oh, let's move forward with it. So as mayor, you would have power to reverse that particular way of doing things, because it's hard enough to find a parking spot. And to drive around in circles like an idiot, we're actually hurting the environment when you think about it, because we're wasting more gas and fuel just to drive around in circles. As mayor, would you eliminate that ridiculous rule of having these bins now to be in front of the apartment buildings, which will be eliminating parking spots?
Actually, I won't, and the reason why is because I'm supporting free public transportation. So when you say that there's going to be there's a decrease of parking spots, parking spaces
because of the garbage.
Because of that, I'm supporting public transportation, and also as far as the bikes being parked, the biking lanes or the biking parking spots. I'm in support of that because I'm going to I'm going to require the scooters and the electric bikes to be out there. So I support it because they're going to be out there. They're not going to be allowed to go in those buildings anymore, into our buildings anymore, because of the fires that they start. So they're going to have to be out there. We have to have some place to put them. So with that, I am in support of that. And as far as the parking spots for the trash bins, I will see what I can do, but I do want, for them to keep their trash outside and to increase the pickup, for that, because our streets are dirty. It's nothing to walk past a pile of trash on any given day of the week, and I just want I will increase the pickup for that. So I'm just gonna.
People, I was wondering, we were just talking about trash, right? I like the idea of bringing back community service for low-level crimes, because I felt that really actually helped communities get cleaned up. So drinking a beer on the subway or smoking a cigarette on the subway, and I did volunteer for 19 years, baseball league, and we used to have the Parks Department have community service people that came and cleaned, and instead of giving them 2 days in jail,
right.
They get to clean the community and do something good,
Absolutely.
And I don't know what happened to that. It worked great.
You can have. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
We can bring back community services for different things like that down south. I'm an Army brat, so I was raised in the South, all over the South. But down south, if you got a ticket and you couldn't pay for your ticket, you had to do community service. If you was parking in the handicap zone, or if you was going too fast or whatever, you had to do community service. So I'm fine with that. And different type of low-level crimes, petty that you do. I'm fine with that, absolutely.
What is, if you could tell us your background of how you became, first your decision why you wanted to run for mayor, and also your background.
Well, I was born September 13, 1975, and I'm an Army brat. My father was in the United States Army. when I was born, and I was born in Gelnhausen, Germany, simply because he was stationed at Fort Garrison at the time of my birth. So I've grown up all over the South, and I graduated from Jacksonville State University, in Jacksonville, Alabama, with a bachelor's degree in computer information systems and a master's degree in public and business administration. And you know, I've worked, of course, in public and private sector. I've worked in the federal sector, and you know, I also, you know, put a lot of time in community service or community volunteer. Yeah. And I've volunteered for several organizations and several foundations and charities. And in doing so, I just I've always had a special thing for civics or public discourse. And I've decided that, you know, I always have a lot of ideas. I submit a lot of ideas, and you know, I just figured that this would be a way for me to just actually bring about a change and just a different view. And I think that my policies are different from any of the other candidates. You know, whether they're Democrat or Republican or independent, my policies are different, and I believe that my policies will produce long-lasting results for future mayors and future city councilmen and councilwomen.
No, very good. You're very well versed in the details. And I've seen of other people running for mayor, they just say a little tagline or two, but I haven't really seen anything well written on their full policies. So thank you for at least having detailed policies of your platform for mayor. Now, when you're running, did you speak with any, because right now, time of this meeting is February 23rd, and the petitions for the mayor and other races are supposed to start February 25th, this Tuesday. Have you ever, because right now, whatever the nominees are of the major parties have already been voted on. Of course, that doesn't negate that you can't try to get on the line depending on your registered party. Because otherwise, if you're trying to get on another party, it's called a Wilson Peculiar, and you need to get the vote of the counties to vote for you to get on. But those meetings happened already. So, but as an independent candidate, how would you get on the ballot, and do you have an organization already in place to try to get you the signatures to get on?
Well, I'm open for endorsement. So I can be endorsed by either the Democrat or the Republican. I am open for endorsement. The reason why I say I'm an independent is because my policies can both appeal to both Democrats and Republicans. Right. When I look through my policies, they're both appealing to both Democrats and Republicans. So I am open for that. I would probably fall under the working families, under the working families on the ballot, you know, because as an independent, I'm registered. I think I'm registered because even though I voted for both Republican and Democrat, somehow I'm registered as a Democrat. I don't know how, but somehow I'm registered as a Democrat when I voted for both throughout my life, actually. Since 18, I've voted for both Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, it's probably when you registered to vote, either someone did it for you, or you...
Somehow
you can always change it in the future. You can just get a form online, or at a local library, you could get an old regular form, or ask the Board of Elections to send you a form, and you can always switch your party in the future. Right now, the deadline to switch parties was February 14th. So with that being said, so if you're a registered Democrat currently, your best bet, in my opinion, is try to run in the Democrat primary somehow. But that would require you to have these petitions already made up.
Right. And I contacted...
Since as a member of the party, you could still run as a Democrat, and whatever that amount of signatures would require. Of course, like I said, big field, and it's basically who gets the signature last, basically. So let's say Andrew Cuomo who's looking to run, and Mayor Adams and whoever else wants to run, they get signature A first, but you get it 2 days later, the same person. Your signature technically would stand because you got it last. So they could sign twice, but as long as it's the last person signing it, that signature would stand. So you'll have a lot of people that you have to deal with. So did you focus on what's your way of getting on the ballot? Because by this point, then major parties already did their endorsements, and they already printed the petition sheets already. And they have the name of their borough president candidate and whatever major parties that are running for offices, I mean. So did you have, because we only have basically a month to do this, and did you look into your operation of how to get these signatures?
I have, and I've contacted the Board of Elections, and I was told that if I run on the independent, because there isn't a category, apparently this is only Democrat, Republican,
Right.
Conservative for working families.
Right.
So I would fall under working families as far as what I have here. My policies
But are you a member of the Workers' Family? Because I don't know if that would, I think you have to be a registered member of the Workers' Family.
So,
to
but
get
but
on.
for me, if I
Because I'm sure they have their own candidate, so you would be forcing a primary if you were a member of that party. So what I'm saying, just as a friendly advice, I think your best angle right now is to focus to try to get on the Democrat primary. Because that way you're already the member of a party, I mean, like it or not, you are at this point.
Yeah.
So as a member of the Democrat Party, you could run as a member of that party for a primary, but it would require you to make sure you get your petition sheet correct, because you have to have someone look at it and make sure the proper wording is done, because they'll kick that out. You'll do all your effort, and you'll submit your filings to the Board of Elections to your campaign thing, and they're gonna say, this is not good. You didn't have a committed to fill vacancies, or something else on the petition sheet that they'll think, or the address was written wrong, or whatever was wrong on it. So you gotta make sure you have at least what a petition sheet looks like, if you have a copy of that, so that way you could, you know, if anything, when I get my petition sheets, it'll be for the Republican Party, I can always take a picture of it, so you have an idea of what the wording would be, at least on the Republican end. I'm sure it wouldn't be different on the Democrat side. Just change names, of course, but you would have to figure out how to do that to get yourself on that ballot. So if it's 7,500 signatures as an independent,
And you have to have it printed out. I literally have to print out 7,500 pieces of paper, and there is no way for them to electronically sign it.
There's 5 signatures per paper, so.
well, you can have on the petition sheet, our sheets have 5 per sheet.
Yeah.
So you can have 5 or 10 or wherever the amount of names you want, but when you're submitting it, you gotta make sure you have, you know, everything in order. That's the whole thing.
Well, yeah.
So as long as you have whatever you're
7,500
submitting,
signatures.
7,500 signatures.
That's a lot.
Now, I don't know if it's 7,500 for the Democrat Party, because technically, the law is, or the rule, is 5% of the registered voters. Now, I don't know if that means independent might be 7,500, but Democrat might be way, way, way higher. It might be, or maybe not. Maybe there is a threshold that they say 7,500 for mayor. I could be wrong, I'm not sure. That's why you gotta find this out. But technically, it's 5% of the, like, I was a district leader. I'm a district leader in the Republican Party for the 44th Assembly District. We have to get 5% of the registered Republicans within that district. My number technically is 325 based on whatever the amount is. And so that means we have to get 5% when we submit it. So you gotta find out what that rule would be, because if you are a registered Democrat, your best bet is to try to get on as a Democrat to force a primary. You know, there'll be other people running, and if it's a large field of people, you might have a chance where you could just get in, and as your policies are said.
Yeah.
So that's one angle. Or if the independent route would be the issue, I don't know if just by getting on the Workers' Family, I think you have to be a member of that party just to do that. Or they have to say, well, if you're not a member of my party, we did an executive meeting, we did a Wilson Peculiar, we're endorsing you, even though you're not a member of that party. Because that's what organizations do.
Right.
We do it on certain levels of people who are state senators or running for city council that are Democrats. Sometimes we endorse. Me personally, I don't vote for that because I'm on the board, but some do, and they get on. Like we had Zipka Felder, who was recently approved to run as a Republican, even though he's a Democrat. So you got to look in there. Your time is short.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes, it is.
February 25th.
Yes, it
When
is.
everyone's out in the streets.
Didn't Alec go through that process too? Alec President?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you have a question? I saw you a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. You have a lot of interesting ideas about trying to help people with severe mental issues. I was just wondering, because you mentioned, like, sometimes, I don't know how it works today, but people who have severe mental issues, sometimes, you ask a judge, the judge himself, if they're on the left side of the thing, they could deny someone their freedom, not because they have any real reason, it's just because it sounds like you get a lot of good ideas. I'm just not sure how they would actually help people out.
Well, with the judge, you have to have you can either be referred by a licensed professional, a licensed mental health professional, board certified mental health professional,
You're talking
or
about
a
people that
letter.
has like severe issues. Like,
Severe mental illness diagnoses, severe mental illness diagnoses. Or you
What-
can have a letter from a mentally disordered letter from a judge, signed by a judge. So if you get that letter signed by a judge, and I've had an experience with an individual that had that. You get a letter signed by a judge, yes, you can definitely, you will have to go there.
So that's I don't know how that would help with someone who has suffering from issues. Sometimes people may have severe mental issues and they're okay. They're not going to be a threat to anyone. Maybe they won't be helped necessarily by being in the street. But if you're talking about people who are a threat to other people or a threat to themselves, what are you?
More of
what's
a
the
homeless
criteria?
nature, right? If they're
Yes,
homeless.
absolutely. And also, if you have that letter signed by a judge, a mentally disordered letter, that letter pretty much says that you cannot be held accountable for anything that you do. So anything that you do, past, present, or future, you know how you hear on the news where somebody has a mental illness diagnosis and they attack someone and they're back out on the street, or you hear about how they do this and they're back out. That is because they have that letter signed by a judge. It means they cannot be held accountable. So if you have that letter, you have to live there. This will be a nice facility. This will be a nice facility. Studio apartment, studio apartments. It will be a nice facility. It's just a way to ensure that you are taking your meds with the dispensary, that you are taking your meds, you are going to your medical appointments, and you are.
You get a lot of thought. You have
Yes,
a lot of thought.
yes, and you are going to your medical appointments, and you are going to your counseling and therapy sessions. We have to have a place where people can go, where they can go to where we can ensure that they're not a danger to themselves or others. And you have to understand that when you receive a severe mental illness diagnosis, the only reason why you're not a danger to yourself or to others is simply because you're taking your meds, you're going to your counseling sessions, and you're going to your medical appointments. If that individual who has a severe mental illness diagnosis at any point in time decide that they don't want to take their meds, they are potentially, because that's what a severe mental illness diagnosis means, they are potentially a threat to themselves or to others, and anything can trigger them on deciding that they don't want to take their meds. Anything can trigger with that. Any life changing, anything can take place of that, and I just want to ensure that everybody that has that are being monitored, and that there's a system in place to ensure that they are able to, that they're checking all of those boxes.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you, Tabitha, for
Thank you.
joining us. And we're just going to stand for a quick picture. And I just wanted to thank you for coming to the Brooklyn Tea Party and explaining your views and your platform for your run for New York City mayor. We appreciate your time here, and God bless
Thank you for that advice.
No problem. Yes, we wish you good luck in your endeavors in helping out our city. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and this concludes the Brooklyn Tea Party meeting.